Hey everybody, blue skies. It's Amelia Rose Earhart here. Welcome back to the channel. This is How to Find Amelia Earhart, the podcast where Nauticos and I describe the process of what it's been like to continue this search to find Amelia Earhart's Lockheed Electra out in the South Pacific Ocean. And here on this channel, we're breaking it down step by step, expert by expert. And this week, we're going to make some exciting announcements. I have some updates to share, and we're also going to take some questions that you have been submitting online through our various social channels. So exciting stuff. Thank you so much. If you're returning, make sure you subscribe here to the channel. We're going to be sharing a lot more information soon, and you can see I've got quite the list building here. So let's get right into it. The first big update and the fun photo I wanted to share that is so meaningful to me came from Texas Women's University. Just recently, I had the privilege of speaking there as a part of their lecture series, and Tammy Jo Schultz, Captain Tammy Jo Schultz, introduced me. She was so kind to, learn about my story and introduce me on stage. And as a token of my appreciation for her taking the time to be there, I wanted to give her a Nauticos patch to say, hey, you're a part of our, flight crew of inspirational other pilots who have done big things. She landed a Southwest jet with a full engine failure and was so calm and composed. And I'll link to all of her info in the comments below. But she was on stage and I wanted to give her a patch, and look at this photo. It is so incredibly special. I want to say thank you, of course, to all of the team who put that beautiful event together and all of the sponsors, because it was truly spectacular to be a part of it. I felt so honored and undeserving in a lot of ways. So thank you so much. It was really, really special, especially to meet the students who got the scholarships, to hear where that they're going to take their careers and how they're going to use this new aviation program, which is building in so many ways at the university. So that was my big announcement there. Also, second big announcement, I have an event coming up in Oklahoma, and this is the Oklahoma Aerospace department. They put on their Oklahoma Women in Aerospace Day. And I'm going to be giving a keynote. The title is Be a Tailwind. It's going to be a really empowering talk. It's on December 12th. Tickets are available, and you can check them out online if you happen to be in the area. But it's a big event. There's hundreds and hundreds of people there, and we may even see some of our Nauticos experts and crew members there as well. We're making those plans happen as we speak. Another big announcement, I wanted to make a shout out and say thank you to the Muchnick Gallery in Atchison, Kansas. This is the art gallery where I just did a big showing. I had 50 paintings, kind of similar to this one here behind me, my aerial abstracts. I did my big first ever gallery show. I filled up the whole mansion, this beautiful Victorian home in Atchison. So when I was out there, I had to pick them up. I knew I needed to take these paintings off of their canvas frames. So we turned them into skins. Jackie and Clark Prigent helped me chop them all up, and now they're back here in my home. But they're inspiring this new evolution of my artwork, so I will have some new landscapes coming your way. But I just thought these videos were so fun to watch, and I wanted to say thank you once again to the town of Atchison. They've been so supportive of my aviation and now my art career as well, and also for letting me, do something so big and special there. We sold several paintings and had a huge turnout at the opening reception. All right, now it is time to get into some of the questions that you've been submitting online. The first question was about sonar. The question was, how will we see Amelia Earhart's plane 18,000 feet underwater? Here's Dave to explain.
Well, there's two ways to, quote, see underwater. And as I mentioned earlier, one is with sound. So sound actually travels very well underwater. It travels faster than in air quite a bit. And we can use different frequencies of sound to go at different distances and see things at different resolution. So we can bounce sound waves off the bottom and listen to the echoes, and we can make a map of those echoes, and it looks like a picture because you get echoes that are very strong off of things that are sticking up like rocks. You get less echo off of soft, muddy stuff. And so if you do this echoing, you can build it into a picture of the rocky bottom, and you'll see mountain ranges and so on. Fortunately, sharp-edged metal objects really reflect sound well. So they shine, if you will, very brightly. So we expect something like Amelia's plane to stand out because it's made of metal and it has a lot of sharp edges. So that's really handy. So we can make a swath about a mile wide of sonar imagery. That's about as far as we can go uh, at a good enough resolution to see the plane. If we try to go much farther than that, it gets fuzzy. So we can kind of carefully map out by mile swaths. Kind of, we call it mowing the lawn. It's like
Yeah.
go and you go back and you go back and forth and you try to cover that lawn. And we have problems. We have to worry about navigation and we have to worry about coverage, and it's all happening miles below the surface of the ocean.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy thing to do, but it can be done. Now, having done that, you'll find what we call contacts. There's things that stand out that just might be what we're looking for. Can't tell by sonar alone if it's what you want. So then you have to go back to those contacts and look very closely where you can actually use your underwater cameras. So I said earlier that light doesn't transmit underwater, and what I really mean is it doesn't transmit very far at all.
Right.
So if you bring lights down to the very, very completely black, pitch black bottom, turn on your lights, you can see with cameras, 100 feet or so, not much
Okay.
farther than that. So if you can get within 100 feet of something, and hopefully quite a bit closer, you can actually image it and you can read the number on the wing and you can definitely identify something. So
Yeah.
there's a two-step process. There's the mapping, which gives you contacts that you have to investigate, and you investigate them by either looking more carefully with sonar or ultimately by imaging, and then you know what you have. And that's the process.
We had another question come in about humans on board. Anything going underwater? Will humans be going under to search for Amelia's plane?
Once you know where it is, it would be possible to go down in a deep sea submersible. Deep sea submersibles, like you may have seen on Titanic, um, they're not very good for searching for things because they can't go very far, and of course it's very expensive to operate them because you have to have a whole life support system for the people and all that. There are not very many of them in the world. The Alvin is one that's operated by Woods Hole, and the Russians have a pair called Mirs that have been featured on Titanic expeditions. The French have one called Nautil. The Japanese and Chinese each have one or two. So they're pretty unusual things. Now, Victor Vescovo had built one of these as a private individual, and he visited all the deepest spots of all the ocean basins. And I talked to him and I asked him if he'd be interested in helping us search for Amelia Earhart. He said, no, but when you find it, I'll be happy to take a dive on it. So, so it would be conceivable to go down with a submersible and look at it once you knew exactly where it was.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that we're going to do that, but it would be possible.
Yeah, that's definitely not the plan. And I think what people have in their mind, of course, is the Titan submersible, and they have that story and image. Dave, can you give us a high level explanation of what happened there, just so that people aren't confusing any part of that with what we're doing on our search?
Sure, the Titan was something that wasn't on my radar. I didn't ever hear about it until, of course, everybody heard about it.
Yeah.
And when I heard about it, I was astonished, and I still remain astonished, that anybody would consider building a pressure vessel that has the pressure on the outside with a carbon fiber material.
Mm.
Um, and the reason for that is that carbon fiber is extremely strong in tension, but it has nothing in compression. It's like a rope. It is a rope. It's fibers. So
Hmm.
the shape, when you have pressure from the outside, the the forces are all compression, and the only thing keeping that shape is the epoxy that's anchoring it. So
Hmm.
the carbon is not providing any strength and compression, and I don't know why you would build a pressure vessel that way. Now, if you're building a spacecraft or a stratospheric balloon capsule, that's perfectly fine because the pressure's on the inside and the tension, the carbon fibers are in tension. Works great. It's like pulling on a rope. That works. You can't push on a rope. So uh, I don't think we're going to see anybody ever making a pressure vessel for deep sea out of that in the future. Um, currently the ones that do exist are made of titanium or stainless steel. The ones that are able to go not so deep, they're even glass spheres. But all those are things that work very well in compression.
Hmm.
So it was an aberration, an engineering disaster. Uh, don't know why anyone thought it would work to begin with. And there have been some interesting documentaries already put out about it. Uh, but I would not, I wouldn't even consider setting foot on something like that.
Our friend of the pod, Chris Williamson, who is the host of the Chasing Earhart podcast, he asked, "How much money have you raised?" He just flat out asked the question. Can you believe it? Well, Dave has the answer for us.
Um, we are not looking for small uh, a large collection of small contributors, which we have done in the past. We've raised money that way, um, and we've also had one large sponsor. So we're pursuing the right person and or organization or small number that will support us. So as of this time, we need all the money. But we do have, as I think you just mentioned, we have had a lot of success lately with funding of our nonprofit educational foundation, and that'll be an important component. Quite often, we get in other expeditions, we've had the expedition funding, but we've struggled to find out how to fund the educational program, which the sponsor doesn't necessarily favor. Well, in one case, we
Right.
had one that didn't care about that, and so we you know we were able to fund it through the Seaward Foundation, and that's our plan this time. So we're in pretty good shape there. We have enough uh, means to support a teacher at sea and some uh, telecasting back home and other educational opportunities. And that's important to us because that's
Hmm.
one of the reasons we're doing this. So as far as the expedition funding, we're we need it.
We had several questions come in about how kids can get involved. Now, Rod's going to tell us more about the Seaward Foundation. You can check out the website, SEAWORD foundation.org, to learn more. It's also linked on the Nauticos site. But Rod's got more details about everything Nauticos and Seaward, the educators and students have done, and some of the exciting plans that we've got in store for our next trip out to sea.
As Dave mentioned, each one of these expeditions, we bring a educator, usually an award-winning teacher, uh, and we do several activities both from the ship and then even after the expedition. Some of these are live Q&A sessions with classrooms over the air, over radio, plus the internet. In order to get back into the internet, we use radio sometimes from the ship. So it's a live conversation. The kids get to ask us questions, and we respond, and hopefully inspire some of them to take up science, technology, deep sea ocean exploration. I mean, that's the future generation we're trying to inspire with these efforts to find Amelia's airplane. Uh, and then the teachers that get to participate on these expeditions bring that back, and you can only imagine how much benefit their students get. I mean, it's kind of a multiplying factor. Teach the teacher, and then she spreads, or he, as the case may be, to their students over the next few years. So it spreads very quickly that way.
Yeah.
There's a
We
lot
had a
of
teacher with us
interesting things
on the
later
radio testing. We had a teacher with us on the radio testing on the ship,
That's right.
Kathy Lamont, and she was great to have along.
Mhm.
One of the things that our teacher helped us organize, which Rod and Tom were instrumental in, was she said, she had ties with NASA, and she let us know that one of the astronauts on the space station was a ham radio enthusiast. And so they concocted a plan to communicate. And I don't know, Rod, if you knew about this when we got underway, but during the expedition, you guys fashioned an antenna out of spare parts, and
Just things laying around the ship. Yeah.
right. And we found out, when the space station was passing over. I don't remember if it was the shuttle or the station, but you can find out when that is, and they literally hand pointed the antenna as the spacecraft was passing over us, and so for a few minutes we could talk through their radio equipment to one of the astronauts on board, and it was. Besides it being a lot of fun and really cool way of doing things, there were a few really poignant thoughts that came out of it. And one was that we realized at that time that those people on the space station were the closest humans to us because they were
Yeah.
only a couple hundred miles away, and there were no other human beings within 1,000 miles at that time. So that
Wow.
was kind of interesting. And then the other
Yeah.
point is we had I think we did this on a couple of expeditions, and one of them we had one of the crew was from Poland, and he didn't speak very much English, but he did speak Russian, and there were cosmonauts on board, and he spoke with one of the cosmonauts in Russian for a few moments, and later he said how remarkable it was that the son of a poor Polish farmer could one day be speaking with someone in space while floating out in the middle of the ocean. So
That's
that was a
beautiful.
really interesting moment.
That was
So I
one
Oh,
of
think
that's
those
Rod and Tom
beautiful.
very
for making
poignant
that
moments.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also brings it back to some of the simplicity around the basics of science, right? Like Rod fashioning a radio, or excuse me, an antenna on the ship, I think that's that side of our personality. Like that's what I love about piddling around my little podcast studio that I'm building here and doing things, is kind of figuring it out in the moment. And that's what kids are like, right? Kids are naturally that way. And I think incorporating that into the whole attitude about just what's possible when you set your mind to something is, I can see that that's going to be a really important part of the journey for me too. I'm already loving these connections. So
We got an exciting question about live streaming capabilities. Will we be able to live stream the moment of discovery or the wreckage once we discover the plane? Dave's got those details as well.
The drones are not real time. The data is collected real time, but it's not available to us until the drones come back. So they typically run for about a day, and they'll go down on and do what we call a sortie. So they'll go out and do a pattern or whatever we've told them to do. And they're smart enough to avoid crashing into the bottom and dodging obstacles and a few things like that. But they're basically doing what they're told. So they'll come back, and then we'll download the data and we'll study it while we send another drone on another sortie. So it's a little episodic. So we won't have real time view of the bottom. Now, that can change when we deploy an ROV or a robotic vehicle, which will be tethered and would provide a real time feed. I have to admit, though, and caution everyone that we're having this mystery having gone on for so long and so much time and effort put into it, we're probably going to be real careful about what we share when we share it. So
yeah,
that is a caveat, but it will be possible potentially to send some live images from the bottom. That'll of course depend on the satellite equipment we have available, and it's like I said earlier, it's kind of expensive to do that, so we're not going to do it
Yeah.
willy-nilly. But we'll try to send some info back as close to live as we can.
We wrapped up our conversation that day with Dave and Rod asking me a few questions. So when Dave asked me how Nauticos fits into my world and what I get out of volunteering for this project, I definitely had a lot to say. I give it a lot of deep thought. When it dawns on me occasionally that I'm literally a part of the team searching for Amelia Earhart, I feel like I'm living in a movie or a dream. So I take it very seriously, and it's something that is constantly evolving and changing. So here's my answer. And as I sign off for this episode, take a listen. In the meantime, if you want to learn more about our project, check out nauticos.com and ameliaroseearhart.com. Blue skies. Take a listen.
Yeah, that's great.
Do we get to ask you questions?
Out of time.
Absolutely.
I was going to say,
Well,
let's ask him what
Go ahead.
how do you view your potential coming along on the expedition with us, and what you anticipate will happen and how it'll work? Now that you've talked to us about what we've done in the past, of course, each one is always different. So it's we'd be interested to hear how you visualize this next event.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Rod. It's funny. I'll go through my day where it'll be very concrete in my mind that this is a possibility, that you will be going out on a search to help find Amelia Earhart's plane, right? Being on a ship in the South Pacific Ocean. I keep a lot of globes around my house. And I think I'll look at it and it just seems at the same time, it feels like a movie. It is also very much my life. And so when I slip back and forth between those two perspectives, they're really different, because there's like the poetic side of it of, oh my gosh, my name is Amelia Earhart. I flew around the world and now I get to be a part of this. But then there is the practical of, we have got to raise the money to make this happen, or it is just going to stay a dream. And I am very excited about the actual time on the ship. I think when I dive into being a part of a team, I'm all in, right? I want to geek out and learn everybody's stories and really connect and really be in that moment. And it feels like the flight around the world in a lot of ways, right? That level of seriousness and preparation and the high stakes nature of all of it. So I get excited about that. I really love working with you guys. I feel like our personalities will probably all mesh well together. And then also, I think about the reality of it. Our lives could change if we find this plane, and the next trajectory of what Nauticos looks like would evolve. The recovery would be a whole different part of life. So it's hard to put it in a little bubble, that's for sure. My family and friends, they're all kind of checking in on me like, is this real? Are you good? Because you
Well,
got
I
to
was
remember, you
wondering.
all are very comfy with it, but it's all very new for me.